There you
Okay,
go. And we're
so we're on
and
the
we're on
air.
the air. Look
Sorry,
at
what was
us.
that?
So, let's dive right into it. How was the week?
The week was less bad than it has been.
I I'm looking at past weeks and seeing that not much has occurred.
Right.
So hopefully that's a good sign
There's
for
been
what you've accomplished.
a phase of rumination, which is still underway. Um, but there's also been, I mean, there was, I think our last two reports, I was frustrated because I just wasn't making any progress and really not doing anything of any
Yeah.
significance.
At the
Um,
beginning of the month, you were looking at a developmental edit, and you had done some minor edits, and
right,
then at the halfway point, you were keying in minor edits and had done
yes,
10 pages, but
yeah,
very little else had been accomplished. And I
exactly.
think we discussed also about self doubt. I think that was at the beginning of the month.
Yep,
So I think we both went into that hole
we
at the
did.
same time. Always
Just,
good.
yeah, of course. Always good to have somebody else who's up to help you pull out of that hole.
Or somebody who's right there with you. It's misery loves company. So,
Sounds like Waiting for Godot or something. Uh, so okay, I'll do the progress report and then explain what's actually going on here. So I am still putting in minor edits, and I am now on page 130. So I think that, if I recall correctly, is about 50 pages from where I was
oh,
last
so you've
time.
done 50 you've done 50 pages.
That's my recollection. I don't have a relative marker. But I think that I was on page 80 the last time we talked. So I'm
Yeah,
making progress.
I don't think you mentioned what pages you were on. But
Yeah,
your goal was to do 20 pages. So look at you
yeah,
exceeding the goal.
yes, I have exceeded my goal. And in terms of working on the story, I've gone back to my storylines for the minor characters that are giving me challenges, and I think I'm on the right path there. I've clarified what their conflicts are, and I know at least how one of them is going to handle it, and I have some uh, background thoughts on how the other one's going to be dealing with it and what kind of interactions he needs to get there. So those are good things. Um,
Yeah.
but most of that work has come in the past couple of days. Um,
Oh, so you're swinging out of it.
yeah, well, um, I've been working on other stuff, right? So much like you, there's been a pile of other things going on. Um, I have a little side project, some code to protect my websites that I've been tinkering with for a very long time, months. And there was just about a couple of weeks ago, there's been a new round of attacks that have been causing my server to go down the dumpster. And so I got pissed off and fixed that, finished that piece of code and started to deploy it, and it's working. So I may be ready for the next attack.
Well, that's a good news, I think.
It's sort of. I mean, it's not writing, but it's also helpful if your website is up. So,
Yes, that is very true. So
yeah,
yeah. Myself, I started off. So our last discussion was the 14th. Um, so now we're at the end of the month, and I removed about 150 words, um, uh, which I wanted to get further, but I was away for a week, and then I'm sure you've done this. I know you've done this, where you edit a chapter and you add so much or take out so much from said chapter and that you've rejiggered almost maybe it's not in words that you've taken it off, because here's my little guidebook. Like, let's say chapter 26 and 27. Let's go with that. I rejiggered both chapters based on some things I had done earlier in some of the edits. Where originally I took out 182 and added 94 words, respectively, to those chapters, realizing that now I have to go back and double edit them because so much was added, so much was taken away. I got to know if they make sense, because they made sense when I was editing.
Right.
Now, not so much, right? So I went back and did another edit, which then caused me to remove from chapter 26 201 words and adding 130 to chapter 27.
Uh-huh.
So obviously I was not fully happy with the first edit.
Right.
I'm usually happy with my first edit. No, this is not my first go around with these
Right.
chapters, but this I am hoping is the last time I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to forward it on to somebody for a proper edit. But
Right.
right now, with you, I'm dealing with storylines and adding certain storylines and taking away certain storylines, and when doing so, you have to make sure everything still flows.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's where I was. Plus, I know the next week I will not get anything done because some know I am a wine writer, and my big project of the year is a rosé report. You are familiar with it because
Yes.
you end up as my one-time hoster for my website. You many times would get in touch with me and go, "What the hell is going on your website?" There's too much traffic. You don't get that much traffic, and there's a
Right.
lot of downloads. So we would have to shrink the size of the report and everything.
Yes.
So there's a rosé report coming out, and this is the week that it comes out, and so now is the final push to get it done. I do not keep track of the words that go into that report, but it's usually anywhere from 40 to 50 pages long.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot of words that get written in
No
that.
kidding. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That sounds like it'll keep you busy. Yeah.
it'll keep me busy for the week, and then hopefully after I wind down from that, next week I will ramp back up into the editing phase, and I will have more to tell you about. Maybe I'll get a few more chapters, which is what I should say. I'm even going to put it in my goals. 5 chapters. I'm trying a chapter a day. I think that's where I'm kind of going. Short chapters I can do more. Long
Right.
chapters I do it. So that's what I'm putting it in. I'm writing it in. There it is. Done. The goal.
I have a variation on that. When I was adding in subplots and things, I had characters showing up in locations earlier in the book than the location showed up in the first version, and the person who was arriving at that location had a completely different view of that space. Right? Originally, this person was fascinated by it. This guy hates it. It's a alien environment to him. So the description that I had for it was useless. Right? Because this guy's experiencing it, and it's not fascinating to him. So I had to keep the physical description, but how he approached it, how he felt about it, was like completely inverted. So that was, I guess it shouldn't have been unexpected, but it was unexpected, right? There's a bunch of things where I thought, okay, I'm just going to grab this text and stick it over here, and I'm done. It's like, oh no.
I found myself just removing things that I never thought I would remove this week.
Right.
I was like, that's the line that's going to stay in the book forever because I love it so much. And sadly, I just realized that it played no significant part in the movement of the story.
Right.
And it's sad when you see those go. We're gonna touch on those in a bit.
Yep.
But we do need to set some goals for
Right.
next week.
Yeah.
And so I've put
Okay.
5 chapters edited, which I think is probably where I'm gonna go with my goals
Okay.
for
I,
next week,
I
just
think I
based on
can
what I
hit.
have to do this week.
I can probably hit another 50 pages in this thing. I don't even know how many I've got. Looks like a third of the way through.
How long is your book so far?
Well, the word count's somewhere in the case of sort of 80K. Um,
Yeah.
but this is the printout and edit that I did before I had the ending to this thing. So there's a bunch of places where it's pretty sketchy. It's 300 pages, so I'm over a third of the way through, and it's slow going because every edit now that I look at, I look at what's written there and I look at the manuscript and it's like, oh no, there's a third way to go here. And I wind up changing my changes, but I think that things are improving as they come along. Like I'm finding not only typos but just little awkward phraseology or redundant sentences. I've trimmed a lot and polished a lot as it goes, but it's slow work. It's slower than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I am not a fan of the editing process. It's not my favorite.
I
Unless I can create something while editing, as in either a new storyline or fix up a better storyline, and realize that if I could just create something or give a character something else, then at least it's something I can follow through the rest of the book. Just a straight edit, I don't know, it bores me. I want some excitement in my editing process. So I don't know why I keep adding something interesting into the editing.
well,
Oh, look, she's got a bodyguard. Now I've got to keep the bodyguard in the story the whole time. So
I find it tedious and rewarding at the same time,
Yeah.
because I'll find a sentence and go, this isn't reading right. What is the problem? And it's like, oh yeah, the subject's in the middle of the sentence. Let me just bring the subject up to the front of the sentence,
yeah,
and then change these things and get this going. And then it's like, oh, but this also makes the next sentence completely redundant. Okay, let's take that out. So it's good to see the overall work improving, but it's also a real pain in the ass to be sitting there going, I need to rewrite this sentence, because you've already said the thing, right?
yeah. But you've got to say it in different ways. You've got to say it so that it's more clear. It's clear in your head because
Yeah,
you're the one writing it. It's in your head, and you're like, oh, well, everybody should get that. And then when you take that step back and you go, who the fuck's gonna get that?
yeah. And I still have lots of comments that don't show up in the printout that are like, establish the timeline.
Yeah.
Or how did we get here? Right?
I have a little pad that I have here as I go through the edits. And there's these question marks over here.
Mhm.
It's just to remind me about a security team. Things that I basically have added during the edit that have changed the story, not dramatically,
Right.
but enough that if I forget about it, people are going to go, well, where's that? It's like a hanging participle, right?
Right.
Where's that coming from? And so I have to remember that these things are still hanging out there, and that I've created them anew.
Right.
So that I have to come back and work them in, and then resolve them also, because the story has already been resolved, but then there's certain parts that I'm just adding or taking out, so I have to either remember that they're gone or put them in.
Right. Yeah, I have something similar. There's this central piece of hardware in this story, and people are trying to understand it and crack it and get control of its capabilities. So that's a multi-phase kind of thing that happens throughout the course of the story. And because we're bopping back and forth on a couple of different timelines, I'm now making notes in each scene, almost treating that piece of hardware as a character, right? Saying, okay, at this point we know this, at this point we know this, and then I'll run my little extract tool and sort by linear time, and then go down and make sure that I'm not giving it capability it doesn't have too early in the story, which is tedious but essential.
It's something I think maybe we should touch on it at another time, but it's something I have yet to do, is the bopping around of timelines. I go a little bit back when I'm looking at like somebody's looking into their past, but I've never bopped around timelines. Which I don't know if anybody watches it, but on Prime there's a show called Scarpetta, and I've been watching that a little bit, and they bop around the timeline completely now and when she started her career, and it really is I want to say it's a masterclass in it, but it's really interesting because TV is obviously different than a book.
Right.
TV, it's easy to show what timeline you're in.
Exactly.
A book, it's a little more different. We should touch on that going forward.
Okay.
But that would be an interesting book one of these days. But we did promise a little killing your darlings, and
Right.
We've set our goals. We've said what we've done. It's been a busier week than in past weeks, thankfully. Seems like we're both getting
More
on track
productive.
in some way. So, and I think that's where we're at. Like I as I said, I touched on it earlier. I am killing a lot, and I don't know if I'm crying about it, but I am. When you're editing and you got the pen in your hand and you put it right at the beginning of that sentence and you go, it really adds nothing. It really adds nothing. And you stroke it out and you go, no. And then when you go back to the computer and you put your hands on the keyboard and you're looking at the paper and you're, yeah, you're gone. And you wipe it out, never to be seen again. I'd love to be able to, put it on another piece of paper and come back to it, but I don't think I would ever go back to those.
Right. Yep.
So, and I believe I at one point I started that. I started a piece of paper with, oh, this line's going to come back some way, somehow, somewhere, and I do not think I've ever looked at that document again.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I kill many darlings. I don't think I have many darlings.
Oh.
I probably have, a note in a subfolder of a subfolder where I've dumped in the occasional sentence that I really like, but I never expected I was going to reuse them. Sometimes it's just like you go back and go, yeah, okay, maybe it just reminds some part of your language unit how to put something together that you like, and then you go off and try to put together something new that you like. But I think this comes down to plotting versus pantsing, because it sounds to me like your darlings aren't single sentences. They're groups of sentences. There's where something happens and you really like what happened, but as it turns out, it doesn't advance the plot.
Usually it is. I've never killed a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I've always kept a storyline that I've liked. I've killed off characters I like, but those aren't darlings. It's a matter of pacing the story forward. I have killed off characters that I thought were going to be there for a long time, but it only made sense to kill them. I remember reading a Karen Slaughter novel, and she had this boyfriend who was like chief of police, and I really liked him. I thought, what a great character, and she had 3 or 4 books with him, and then like in book 4 or 5 she killed him. dead. Like, I'm like, what? And then that's what brought in, if people watch it, Will Trent, who was the GBI, or which Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and his character now has supplanted, and they're having a romance and blah blah blah, or they were, or something of that nature. But it was just shocking to me to see the main character that you went through 4 books with gone. And I guess it just told me that nobody is permanent. Everybody's expendable. If you think of Game of Thrones, same thing, right? Not Jon Snow, but the character played by the actor Bean. I can't remember. He was dead in the first season. Everybody loved him. Dead.
Yep.
Gone.
Yep.
So
it's I'm reminded, going back to movies,
Sean Bean. Sorry, Sean Bean. I don't remember his character's name.
I'm reminded of what Quentin Tarantino does. Right? It's like, hey, this guy's getting away, and then boom, no, he got killed. It's like,
yeah, it's easier to just kill the guy who's getting away. Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's the hero of your story, and he's finally managed to get to this point where everybody is expecting that this is the climactic moment, and boom, he's gone.
Yep.
And it's like, what?
Yeah. So back to your comment. I will kill more sentences than I will whole paragraphs.
Right.
I'll rewrite paragraphs that I realize are not working,
right,
or that I need to add something. But they're never a paragraph to me is never a darling. It's a means to an end to get the story moving. It's those sentences that are, perfect alliteration.
Right.
And you go, wow, that's a fun sentence to write, rolls off the tongue. And you're like, oh, that's great. I'm so happy I wrote that.
Yeah.
And then you look at it later on, a year later, and you're like, while still a fun sentence to say, it adds nothing to the story.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't add to the character. It doesn't add to the story. It doesn't tell you anything. It was just fun to write. And that is a pantser thing to do, which is sometimes you're just trying to fill words, and you end up with whatever comes into your head, and you're like, oh, that's beautiful.
Right.
And then you go, yeah, no, that doesn't do nothing.
Beautiful, but doesn't fit. Yeah. So
correct.
The enjoyment is coming up with a sentence in the first place, and then
I think so.
If you love something, let it go.
Yeah, I guess maybe it'll come back to you again, right? You write somewhere else. Maybe you come back to those characters. There's all kinds of reasons why a sentence might come back. There's all kinds of reasons why you might, but I'm not. I guess I've stopped trying to force them onto myself, which is why I never look at that document again with all those sentences.
Right.
Because if you look at them, you'll be like, oh, I want to put that in. Then maybe again, I'm gonna cut it again. So what's the point?
Right.
Of
right.
looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And you still have the freedom to make another beautiful sentence that works inside what you've already written, right? Like you can,
or just delete it altogether.
And I mean, with what's left, right? Like I have sentences that advance the plot, and I look at them in the editing, and it's like I don't like how this sentence works. I don't like the words I've chosen, and I'll rewrite it, and I'll fix the cadence, and I might get a little alliteration in there, and then I'll go, okay, well that's a nice sentence, but it's never been. I don't wind up falling in love with individual sentences. I fall in love with scenes, right? I mean, I don't think I could cut the opening scene of this book. I've changed it and restructured it a bit and honed it and improved it, but there's no way to start the book without it.
Oh, I completely rearranged mine. At one point, it was a completely different beginning.
Huh.
And during one of the classes in the novel read, she said, "What if it just becomes a plot point later on, and you get rid of that and just get right into the story?"
Right.
Because it was a flashback scene.
Ah.
I've seen it in books so many times, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to start my story." And she says, "Well, it takes 5 chapters for you to get into where you are,
Yeah, that's a lot.
and unless you get us into the story, now you're going to lose people because." And I don't understand this, but in a bookstore, you read the first couple of chapters. People do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't read that fast.
Yeah.
I'd be there half the day.
I'll usually pick it up, read
I'd need a snack.
5 pages, and then I'll open up to an arbitrary place somewhere in the middle and read a sentence or two. Because that first part has been polished and honed, and the amount of attention paid to those first 5 pages is higher than the amount of attention paid to page 125,
Yeah,
right?
for the last page. Yeah,
Again, the last page usually gets a fair bit of attention, right?
I guess.
It's
Yeah, somewhere in the middle, you can lose people. So.
right. So I open it up and go, is the writing of the same caliber? Is the story carrying, for a couple of pages here in the middle? And if it is,
Yeah,
then
that's
yay, I'm good. Yeah.
that's usually where I end up putting down a book. As I said, I talked about this before. I think I've only done like 3 or 4 books that I've ever gone, I can't finish reading this.
Right.
And it's usually somewhere in the middle where it just bogs itself down and doesn't bring anything. I know you're trying to get exposition in there. I understand, but I mean, I and especially in a mystery or thriller, things got to move.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you can only slow the pace down, for a couple of chapters. Once you've hit 5 or 6 chapters of slow, it just remains that way. So,
Uh-huh.
it's
And
not a lot
not
of
to,
fun.
erode a discussion of timelines, but my story starts in the middle because that's this guy's crisis point, and I then have to explain how he got there, right? If I'd started the story with how he got there, it wouldn't be interesting. It'd be like, what the hell is the point of talking about this guy doing this relatively mundane thing, right?
Yeah.
It's only when that mundane thing turns out to cause a massive crisis in his life that the backstory or the how he got there becomes relevant.
Which moves us into timelines, and
Yeah.
I want to dive into that deeper in a coming episode because I've even written it down. Because I really like to figure out, because it's something I haven't played with much. So
Right. Okay.
we'll touch on that. And I think we've literally killed the darlings topic. I think you mentioned last time that we had discussed it briefly
Yes.
at one point.
Yeah.
Although I was looking through the notes, and I think maybe we didn't touch on it as a hook. We touched on it as a topic,
I had it.
during a random discussion.
Let's see.
Oh, look at you! I know you kept a log. I knew
Update
it.
number 6: killing our darlings.
Oh, so number 6. Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we're at least a dozen or so forward, and
Yep.
now we are both like into serious editing, whereas
Yes.
I think at that time we were still into the writing phase.
Try to get it finished.
Of
Yep.
much of it. So now that we're there, I think we're experiencing it, and that doesn't sound like you experience it much. I go through more remorse than you do, it seems.
Yeah, but I think you have more words that aren't focused on what winds up being your
Yeah.
plot, right?
Yeah, I have more chance to kill darlings than you do.
You have more
You are-
chances to add darlings, right?
Correct, and kill them at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah.
Which is
So
great for a mystery thriller writer, right? Because that's I want to kill things as much as possible, as it turns out. I once had a friend phone me up after my writing session because he texted me and he said, can we chat? And I said, you got to give me another hour. And so we did. And he goes, how was your morning? I said, oh, I got to kill somebody, so it was a good day. And he's like, what? And I'm like, well, no, I killed somebody in the story. So it makes for a good day when somebody can, die an ill-timed death.
Right. Yes.
But with these darlings that we're talking about, with these writings, with these sentences, with these paragraphs, again, they are the killing of an ill-timed sentence. And as a plotter, you probably plot more, and henceforth, you just don't have darlings to kill.
Not as many. Yeah.
Freestyling like crazy,
right? And
trying to fill up a day, or try to fill up a chapter or two, and end up with, all kinds of things that did it. I go back to Harlan Coben saying, do anything, make it fanciful if you want. We're in editing that you'll bring it back, you'll hone it, you'll make sure that it's better, but don't discount any idea.
Right. Right. Yeah. It occurs to me that I might wind up having that in the current ending for this story, because I had basically rough idea how it was going to go, and I had a couple of scenes laid out, and I wound up starting on that first scene and just writing the whole conclusion.
Yeah.
So all those scene breaks and everything else were gone, and things happened that I didn't expect. I basically pantsed it, right? So there might be a darling in there. You'll see.
You know what? I hope. No offense. I really want you to experience losing something that you're in love with. I'm not. That's terrible. I'm not hoping like a loved one. Like I mean, like I'm not somebody living. I just want you to put your pen in front of a sentence, read it, go, God, I love that, but it does nothing for me, and have to cross it out once, so you've killed it once, and then when you get to the computer, realizing that you're now going to delete it forever, and that it's not coming back, and go, and feel that just weight in your chest of, God damn it, that was such, and watch it go. And it is, there are points, they are like killing children, like these are these are my babies, blah blah blah. You hear people say that all the time, but it's like killing something that lived inside of you and made it through plenty of edits up until that point when you realize it is not working.
Yeah.
And you have to get rid of it, and it is painful, but once you do it and you're finished, you go, that was the right thing to do.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, we'll see if that happens.
Out of its misery, or me out of its misery, or both.
We'll see if that happens. I don't know if I have as much of an emotional relationship with my words as you do.
Oh, that's a good. Oh, wow, that's a good topic too. Oh God. Yeah. You're on book 1 though, right?
Yep.
I've written like 10. I sent you a list of all the stuff I've written, and there are characters that I'm afraid to go and edit. Like there are books that I am afraid to go and edit because I'm going to have to get rid of things, and I know it's well written, and I at least I think it is, and I just know that in the end I'm going to get rid of something in there that I am just going to cry over.
Interesting. I mean, when I was ruminating over whether or not my secondary characters are two-dimensional or not, there was a couple of times when I pondered just killing a subplot. It's like, can I achieve what the story needs without this? It's like,
and did you?
No, I couldn't.
And you?
No, only because I can't hang the story together without it, right?
Oh, I bet you could. I bet you could.
No, man. Look, it took me a year
I'm
to
thinking
figure
you
out
could.
how to fix this damn thing. And there may be other solutions, but
You're just not willing to investigate them. See, you're keeping
no,
those darling.
I disagree. I'm not even particularly happy with. I mean, the character's okay, but his character arc, for lack of anything else, like he's 2-dimensional. His inner conflict is pretty obvious. How it gets resolved is maybe relevant to the story, maybe not. It's like, if I could cut him, I would. But he's
You're not trying. You're not
he-
trying hard enough. That's
he-
my thought here now.
well, if I don't have something that does what that part of the story does, then how we get to the middle of the story doesn't happen. Right?
so
If we go back to
the
what I
thing
had as draft 0, that's why draft 0 sucked, because it didn't have these other things ran off in the background and had to happen, but there was no words to express that to the reader.
I think the thing that's going to cause me the most problems is when I finally hand this over to a developmental editor or a complete editor, like some kind of editor, and he's going to say, "This has got to go.
Right.
It doesn't make sense." And a lot of editors will say to you, "Well, after all, it's your story. You make the final decision."
Right. Yeah.
But an editor has seen a lot over their time. They probably know a hell of a lot more than you do.
Yep.
And is it worth dying on the cross of something that's not going to work for a better story? And I'm an argumentative person at the best of times, and I am a person who, if you give me an idea, I need days to think about it. Because if it's something that's going to fundamentally change something,
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to take some time to think about it. I am not somebody who go, yeah, let's do that right now.
Right.
That is probably going to send me spiraling, and we'll have one of these episodes where I'm going, it's not just self-doubt. It'll be like, why did I even bother to start?
Right. Yeah. And I think we all have some mortal fear that you're going to hand it to a highly skilled developmental editor, and they're going to go, here's a bunch of pages with red all over it.
and the
You know?
comments, have you thought of another career?
Yeah. I don't think that's likely to happen, but you have this fear that they're going to make some small observation that just kicks the knees out of your story.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing, right? Well, that's all great, but how did he get there?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Or why didn't they just do this and then all this wouldn't happen? It's like,
Yeah. All right.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
I get this in television shows, mostly, horror films. It's like, okay, leave the cottage.
don't stick around. Don't go down to the beach. Don't enter the dark room. But I think it's a matter of is your reader going to go with you on your journey? I think that's what it is. And will they suspend
Right.
belief or disbelief for the length of the story you're going to tell, even if it is theoretically implausible or easy to fix?
Yeah, I like, it was a CBC series, I can't remember the name of it. It was set in Northern Ontario. I like the, there's this woman who's being held. She manages to escape. She runs through the woods, gets to the main road, and waves down a vehicle who is driven by her captor.
Yeah, I don't know what movie that happens in a lot of movies too.
Right,
But yes.
and that makes more sense than escape and then hide in the corner.
Yes. Did you ever? And we should end on this part. But did you ever see the show 24?
Some of it, yeah.
Okay, so I guess in the first season I was willing to suspend belief that his daughter would get into trouble the way she did, right?
Okay.
But by season 4, it seemed like all she ever did was screw up and get into some kind of trouble, and I'm like, I can't believe she's done it again.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I get it. That's what the plot point is. It is now formulaic, but I was like, there is no way if she had gone through the first thing that she would go through that again.
Right.
No way, no how. And that's when I think by season 3 I was out. I was like, I can't watch her do this again because they've made her such an idiot that why would you do that?
Yeah.
And I think that becomes a problem when you start seeing through and you start seeing where the plot's going all the time. In hour 6, she's going to be in trouble, and she's going to put herself there. She's going to put herself in a stupid situation. And that's where you're like, you just shouldn't have gone to that party. You just shouldn't have smoked that.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have, let's take the handful of pills that the evil guy is giving you or whatever.
Right.
So,
yeah. We're currently wading through season 2 of Designated Survivor. And
okay.
It's suffering from the same kinds of problems. It's like these people are making the same stupid mistakes
that they did in season 1.
In a different context, but it's like still, okay, you haven't called for backup 8 times, and 8 times it's gone south. Why don't you call for backup?
No. That's the things that drive me crazy, and I point at the TV and I go, "What are they doing?" So,
we're just like, okay, let's catch another one and see how bad it is, right?
Yeah, I guess there are points in a series where you're like, it's so bad, I want to see how they resolve this, or you stop it. And there have been times that I've gone, I can't go through this anymore.
Yep.
So.
And we're also going through Person of Interest, which is interesting.
Oh yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, and so it's not as bad. I mean, the setup is the same every time, but at least they have better writers and somewhat more realistic stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, your out in the field guy at some point in time is going to beat up 5 guys without getting hurt.
In any way, shape, or form.
So
I remember Person of Interest. It was a better show.
Yeah, the writing is definitely better. Yeah. So,
it was formulaic, but not
exactly
predictable.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, they set a framework and they found a way to do it differently, and the writing was good.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let me see here. So we did a little Killing Your Darlings this week. Let's lay the hook for next week. And it kind of came up in our discussion, which is finding your style.
Yes.
And we had briefly touched on it early, and I loved that idea so much that I got you off topic and wrote it down because I thought, wow, we should really dive a little deeper in that. We should also invite people to, if they have anything, put comments in the bottom of if you killed a darling, or if you the difference between pantsing and plotting. Whether Alan is correct about he doesn't kill as many darlings as because he's a plotter. I know I do because I am a pantser. So I think that's it. He's Alan Langford. I'm Michael Pincus, and we'll see you next time.
You got it. Ciao, baby.
Ciao.